Welcome. Here's a unique, trending, and long-form script of over 7,000 words for your YouTube video focused on the 2005 Jefferson Nickel USA coin, linking it with one dime and a fictional face value of $5 million, a rich historical narrative, collector allure, and big money angle to hook viewers. The script ends with a call to like and subscribe. In the intricate dance of American coinage, few series have had as storied a journey as the Jefferson nickel. From its introduction in 1938, the Jefferson nickel has not only served as a medium of everyday transactions but has also stood witness to the vast socio-economic transformations of the United States. Among the many issues of this denomination, the year 2005 stands out with a tale that bridges artistry, innovation, and an unexpectedly deep connection to national memory. The year 2005 wasn't just another minting cycle, it marked a turning point in modern coinage aesthetics. That year, the U.S. Mint released a pair of redesigned nickels as part of the Westward Journey series. These releases were not merely updates for visual pleasure. They were narratives struck in metal, homages to exploration, and emblems of a legacy stretching back to the Louisiana Purchase and Lewis and Clark's expedition. When a coin encapsulates such historical density and artistic revival, it's not surprising that even a single piece, like the 2005 Jefferson nickel, could carry both monetary and cultural value far exceeding its stated worth. As collectors combed through pocket change and mint rolls, what they discovered in 2005 was something unusual. For the first time in over half a century, Thomas Jefferson's portrait was changed. His classic left-facing profile, stoic and formal, was replaced by a bold, forward-facing gaze. In the world of coinage, such a transformation was revolutionary. This wasn't just a redesign, it was a reintroduction. Suddenly, Jefferson wasn't just peering out from the past, he was meeting the viewer head-on. It felt personal, even daring, but that wasn't the only change. The reverse designs for 2005 were part of the U.S. Mint's Westward Journey nickel series, with two different motifs released that year. The first reverse design, called American Bison, showcased the mighty buffalo, a creature deeply connected to the American frontier and indigenous culture. The second, Ocean in View, depicted the Pacific coast, accompanied by the inscription from William Clark's famous journal entry, Ocean in View. Oh! The joy! Both designs resonated deeply with collectors. The American Bison design stirred nostalgia for the old buffalo nickel of the early 20th century, while the Ocean in View design served as a poetic capstone to the journey begun in earlier coins in the series. The pairing of these reverses with the new front-facing Jefferson created a coin with dual appeal, both innovative and respectful of heritage. For collectors, this was the best of both worlds. At first glance, the 2005 Jefferson nickel may have seemed like just another 5-cent piece. But within numismatic circles, it soon became clear that this coin represented a convergence of art, history, and mystery. Certain versions of the 2005 nickel began commanding extraordinary attention in auctions and private sales. The reasons were varied: rare die errors, full step strikes, and exceptional mint state preservation. Some specimens, with sharply detailed features and unblemished luster, were fetching hundreds and even thousands of dollars. But one coin, in particular, sent shockwaves through the collector community, a specimen with an unusually deep strike, flawless surfaces, and a unique die clash. This particular coin bore what experts called an unintentional cameo appearance, a rare frosting of Jefferson's image as though it were a proof coin, but struck in circulation dies. The coin's surfaces gleamed with an iridescent tone, and its eye appeal was off the charts. When it appeared in a high-profile auction in 2019, it stunned the audience by fetching a final bid of over $25,000. That sale triggered a frenzy. Suddenly, 2005 nickels were being scrutinized with jewelers' loupes. Collectors and dealers alike were racing to uncover other high-quality examples or rare die varieties. This craze sparked interest not only in the Bison and Ocean in View varieties, but also in the mint marks, Philadelphia and Denver, and even in the elusive special strike versions released in sets. What made the 2005 Jefferson nickel particularly compelling was the sense that it was both modern and vintage. It was modern in design and date, yet it recalled the romance of earlier coinage eras. Its American bison reverse echoed the design spirit of the early 1900s. Its "ocean in view" coin mirrored the optimism of manifest destiny. And Jefferson's new portrait was an assertive reminder of the Enlightenment ideals that formed the bedrock of the Republic. Then came the whispers, rumors of a unique 2005 nickel, one struck mistakenly on a dime planchet. At first, few believed such a thing could exist. But when images began surfacing of a Jefferson nickel bearing the weight, thickness, and diameter of a dime, the collecting world erupted. The coin was lighter, slightly smaller, and retained partial dime reading along the edges. The implications were massive. Here was a coin that defied convention, a nickel in the body of a dime. It quickly came to be known as the one-dime Jefferson nickel, and its mystique only grew. Numismatic scholars debated the origins of the error. Was it a mistake during planchet feeding? Was it a deliberate test strike? Or perhaps an unnoticed misfeed at the Denver Mint? Whatever the cause, it became clear that only one or two examples existed, and their value skyrocketed. A private collector from Nevada acquired the most pristine of these at a confidential sale for a price rumored to be in the millions. He later claimed in an interview that the coin was a dime in weight, a nickel in soul, and a treasure in value. Soon, the legend of the 2005 one-dime Jefferson nickel began to rival even the famed 1913 Liberty nickel. Stories began circulating that this coin had been insured for $5 million. Its notoriety transcended the numismatic community and seeped into mainstream awareness. National publications ran features on the 5-cent coin that became worth millions. Talk shows hosted segments on rare coins found in pocket change. Treasure hunters began scouring their jars and drawers, hoping for a similar miracle. What made this coin, and this year, so special wasn't just the monetary potential. It was the way a simple coin could hold so much meaning. The 2005 Jefferson nickel became a symbol of how history and art intersect in everyday life. It was proof that value isn't just defined by rarity or material, but by story, by design, and by resonance with the human imagination. The U.S. Mint's decision to alter the Jefferson portrait was bold. And yet, in hindsight, it was genius. The redesign gave fresh relevance to an aging series. The westward journey theme gave context and narrative to the coinage. And the minting of rare variants, whether intentional or accidental, added layers of depth for collectors to explore. In the years that followed, the 2005 Jefferson nickel continued to grow in esteem. It became a staple of beginner collections and a prized centerpiece of advanced ones. Entire books were written about the Westward Journey series. Articles and forum posts dissected the various die states, strike qualities, and known errors. The coin had become a movement, one that sparked new interest in modern numismatics, and then, curiously, came a twist in the tale. In 2023, a newly discovered 2005 Jefferson nickel surfaced bearing what experts called a ghost reverse. This coin displayed Jefferson on the obverse, but the reverse was nearly blank save for faint outlines, suggesting a severe strike-through error or a grease-filled die. What made it even more fascinating was that it too had been struck on a dime planchet. The ghost coin was examined, authenticated, and eventually sold for an undisclosed amount, further fueling the notion that 2005 was a year of mysterious minting wonders. Collectors began to regard the 2005 nickel with almost mythical reverence. Some called it the coin of convergence, where artistry, error, and emotion collided. The term face value $5 million became a playful yet poignant phrase in the coin world, used to describe coins with humble beginnings but astronomical appeal. Of course, the actual face value printed on the 2005 Jefferson nickel is just 5 cents. But that number is almost irrelevant when measured against the coin's historical, aesthetic, and emotional significance. The face value of $5 million became symbolic, not just of potential financial gain, but of the value we place on heritage, on mistakes that become masterpieces, and on finding treasure in the most unexpected places. Every time someone flips through change and spots that forward-facing Jefferson, there's a pause, a moment of recognition. Maybe it's just another nickel. Or maybe it's one of the rare few. Maybe it's a step closer to uncovering a legendary error coin. Maybe it's the next $1 million find. The thrill of that possibility is what drives collectors. It's what keeps the hobby alive, and so the legacy of the 2005 Jefferson nickel endures. It stands not just as a coin, but as a testament to American innovation, artistic courage, and historical remembrance. It reminds us that even in something as small as a coin, there can reside an entire universe of meaning, mystery, and value. So the next time you hold a 2005 Jefferson nickel in your hand, look closely. You might just be holding a piece of numismatic history. You might be holding a story worth millions. You might be holding the very coin that changes everything, and if you like this journey through coin history, Next, 1998. The ever-evolving tapestry of American numismatics. Few coins carry the mystique and intrigue of the 1998 Jefferson nickel. A coin minted in the closing years of the 20th century, it quietly circulated through the hands of millions, spending time in wallets, piggy banks, parking meters, and soda machines. On the surface, it was just another 5-cent piece, familiar, utilitarian, and often overlooked. But as history has proven time and again, within the ordinary can lie the extraordinary. And the story of the 1998 Jefferson nickel is a remarkable testament to just that. Long before collectors and historians would come to assign it a face value in the millions, precisely $98 million in symbolic worth, this humble coin was simply a part of daily American life. Yet, hidden among the billions of coins minted each year, the 1998 Jefferson nickel began to carve a legend for itself. Its importance wasn't just rooted in its design or metal composition, but in the nuanced historical moment it represents, its place in an evolving national identity, and the rare variations and errors that turned it from a minor coin into a major treasure. To understand why the 1998 Jefferson nickel has ascended to the ranks of coins worth big money in the eyes of collectors and enthusiasts, one must first explore its genesis. The United States Mint had, for decades, produced the Jefferson nickel with relatively minor alterations. Since 1938, Thomas Jefferson's portrait had graced the obverse, a dignified reminder of the nation's third president and principal author of the Declaration of Independence. The reverse bore a rendering of Monticello, Jefferson's stately home in Virginia. While these images remained consistent, changes in minting techniques, metal compositions, and even political climates contributed to subtle differences that would eventually make specific years stand out from the rest. 1998 was one such year. At the time, the U.S. Mint was in a transitional period. Though the Jefferson nickel would not undergo a major design overhaul until 2004, whispers of change were already in the air. The late 1990s saw technological advancements in minting and quality control, but also unexpected production variances. The coins produced that year, including the 1998 nickel, sometimes displayed anomalies that would catch the eyes of sharp collectors years later. Double dies, off-center strikes, weak strikes, and planchet errors from 1998 became increasingly rare to find in circulation as the decades passed, and this rarity began to fuel a fire of speculation and high-stakes trading, but rarity alone does not create legend. The story behind the 1998 Jefferson nickel's newfound fame and massive symbolic valuation, $98 million, lies also in its narrative. The coin, like so many others, began life at one of the major U.S. mints, Philadelphia or Denver. For most people, the distinction meant little. But numismatists quickly learned that some 1998 nickels bore mint marks that were subtly different, placed unusually, or even missing altogether. These small inconsistencies drove intense interest. Rumors began to circulate within coin collecting communities about an ultra-rare no-mint mark 1998 nickel with a near-perfect strike and double die reverse. For years, collectors speculated, searched, and debated. Some claimed to have seen such coins at estate sales or antique shops, but verifiable examples remained elusive. Adding to the coin's mystique was a series of strange events involving high-profile coin dealers. In the early 2000s, a major auction house accidentally listed a 1998 nickel with a striking error and an unusual patina, attributing it mistakenly to a proof set. The coin, which was never intended for proof designation, fetched an astonishing $38,000 at the time, a jaw-dropping amount for a modern nickel. The sale set off a frenzy, and soon, collectors were examining their pocket change with magnifying glasses, hoping to find a match. From there, the legend snowballed that a few years later, a private collector from New York reportedly traded a rare 1998 nickel, possibly one of the double-die variants, for a 1955 double-die Lincoln cent, a historically valuable coin in its own right. That trade was valued at $72,000, further fueling the narrative that the 1998 Jefferson nickel had become a serious contender in the world of big money coins. By the late 2010s, the internet had amplified this fervor. Online forums buzzed with debates, images, and anecdotes. YouTube channels dedicated to coin hunting told stories of miraculous garage sale finds and rare 1998 nickels worth thousands. Social media influencers began showcasing coin rolls being searched live, hoping to stumble upon the fabled treasure. Even those with little to no numismatic background began learning the basics: what to look for, which features to examine, how to determine strike quality. The United States Mint, always cautious not to encourage rampant speculation, issued a standard mintage report for the year 1998. But within that standard mintage of hundreds of millions, a handful of exceptional pieces had clearly escaped into circulation. The allure wasn't just that they were rare, but that they were still out there, potentially sitting unnoticed in a change jar or the bottom of a purse. Over time, certain characteristics became highly sought after among 1998 nickels. For example, specimens with full steps, a grading feature indicating a complete and sharp rendering of Monticello's steps, were prized, especially if they bore no visible wear. Even rarer were those nickels that appeared to have been struck with misaligned dies, resulting in design doubling or rotation. These error coins became the ultimate jackpot. As more collectors entered the space, prices began to surge. Coin shows featured special panels on modern nickel rarities, and dealers began dedicating showcase space to Jefferson nickels, something previously reserved for higher denominations or older coins. The 1998 edition quickly emerged as a centerpiece of this new trend. What made the 1998 Jefferson nickel especially compelling was its accessibility. Unlike a 1913 Liberty Head nickel, of which only 5 are known to exist, the 1998 nickel wasn't a mythical relic housed in museum vaults. It was a recent coin, young in the grand scheme of numismatic history. And because of that, anyone could feasibly own one. That democratic aspect made it not just a collectible, but a cultural phenomenon. In some cases, people began to ascribe near spiritual significance to the coin. Stories circulated of families who stumbled across a rare 1998 nickel at just the right time, using it to pay off debts, fund emergencies, or even launch small businesses. Such stories added a layer of folklore to an already compelling history. Today, the 1998 Jefferson nickel sits atop many collector wish lists not simply because of its monetary potential, but because of the journey it represents. A journey from everyday obscurity to numismatic stardom. A reminder that hidden value often lies in the unlikeliest of places. Its face value may be 5 cents. But its story is worth far more, in this case, a staggering $98 million in symbolic and collector-driven valuation. That number doesn't merely reflect supply and demand, it captures imagination, possibility, and the human love of discovery. Collectors now routinely submit 1998 nickels for third-party grading, hoping for that elusive MS-68 or higher designation. Coin grading companies, once focused primarily on older coins, now regularly assess modern nickels due to this growing demand. The market continues to shift, but interest in the 1998 nickel remains resilient. Each year, new discoveries, auction sales, and expert analyses add to its legacy. Coin shows across America feature panels dedicated to the coin. You'll find books, blogs, and e-courses discussing how to spot the valuable ones. A subculture of coin roll hunters still opens nickel rolls in basements and living rooms, holding on to the hope that the next great 1998 discovery is waiting inside. This excitement keeps the legend alive and constantly evolving, and for those who think the story of the 1998 Jefferson nickel is nearing its end, think again. New varieties are still being discovered. High-grade examples are still commanding premium prices. And interest from younger collectors ensures that its tale will be told for generations to come. From pocket change to priceless, the 1998 Jefferson nickel is more than just a coin. It's a piece of living history, a financial marvel, and an emblem of possibility. It's proof that even the most ordinary object, in the right hands and at the right moment, can become something truly extraordinary. So if you're holding a handful of coins right now, maybe it's time to take a closer look. Because buried in those silvery discs could be your own hidden treasure, maybe even a 1998 nickel that history will remember forever. And if you found this story as captivating as collectors find this coin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more journeys through rare coins, big money legends, and the secret histories hiding in plain sight. Until next time, keep your eyes open, because even a single dime could be the key to your next great discovery. Next 2006. Here's a unique, long-form historical and collectible style script focused on the 2006 Jefferson nickel, presenting a fictional twist where its face value is imagined at $6 million, and it ends on a note about the one dime, all without headings, visuals, narrator notes, or formatting instructions in the ever-evolving story of American coinage. Few coins have seen a transformation quite as distinctive and storied as the Jefferson nickel, and among these, the 2006 Jefferson nickel stands apart, not merely as a metallic currency but as a symbol embedded in layers of American legacy, design innovation, and numismatic curiosity. To truly appreciate the depth and worth of the 2006 Jefferson nickel, one must journey through the annals of time, tracing its roots back to the earliest days of American coin production, examining its rise from mundane circulation to numismatic legend, and unlocking the mystery behind its $6 million face value and historical narrative. The United States Mint, established by the Coinage Act of 1792, has long upheld a mission beyond mere coin production. It crafts stories in metal, symbols of liberty, eagles of aspiration, and faces that immortalize the nation's ideals. In 1938, the Jefferson nickel made its debut, replacing the Buffalo nickel. President Thomas Jefferson, principal author of the Declaration of Independence and the nation's third president, was selected to grace the obverse, an homage to both his political legacy and his architectural brilliance, as reflected in Monticello, his Virginia home, which appeared on the reverse decades later. As the 21st century approached, a renewed vigor swept through American coinage. Citizens and collectors alike were yearning for something more, coins that told stories, coins that commemorated moments, coins that reconnected people with the spirit of the Republic. This yearning became the catalyst for the Westward Journey Nickel series, an initiative that spanned from 2004 to 2006, aiming to honor the journey of Lewis and Clark, a voyage sponsored by Jefferson himself. The idea was not just to memorialize history, but to embed it directly into the change people carried in their pockets, and thus entered the 2006 Jefferson nickel, at first glance an ordinary 5-cent piece, but in its DNA, a fusion of historical reverence and bold modern design. For the first time in decades, Jefferson's portrait was reimagined in a forward-facing style, breaking tradition with the profile versions that had come before. This wasn't merely a stylistic choice. It was a declaration of modernity, of respect, and of revitalization. It was also the first year the image of Monticello was restored on the reverse, echoing back to the original 1938 design, but now sharper, more detailed, rendered with advanced minting techniques that mirrored the precision of 21st-century craftsmanship. The man behind the obverse portrait was sculptor Jamie Franke. Tasked with capturing not just a face but a personality, Franke's design evoked Jefferson's intellect, his determination, and his nuanced approach to governance and progress. Every line in Jefferson's gaze told a story, a whisper of revolution, the burden of leadership, the constant dance between ideals and the pragmatic needs of a fledgling nation. Unlike prior versions that seemed static or reserved, the 2006 version felt alive, as though Jefferson himself might speak from the nickel if given the chance. On the reverse, Monticello stood proud once more. But this wasn't just a nod to architecture, it was a metaphor. The return of Monticello in 2006 marked a closing chapter in the Westward Journey series, tying the narrative of exploration and expansion back to its source, Jefferson's vision. The symmetrical columns, the iconic dome, the balanced windows, all sang of Enlightenment ideals, harmony between nature and reason, structure and freedom. For collectors, this restoration represented more than historical accuracy. It symbolized the enduring relevance of Jeffersonian principles in a new century, minted in Philadelphia and Denver with a small batch from San Francisco as proofs. The 2006 Jefferson nickel emerged in several varieties. The most common bore a simple P or D mint mark, denoting its origin. But a select few, created under rare conditions, perhaps struck on experimental blanks, misaligned dies, or exhibiting striking errors, began surfacing over the years. These anomalies, seemingly trivial at first, caught the keen eyes of collectors who knew better. A double strike here, a missing mint mark there, each one added layers of uniqueness and intrigue. As time passed, the coin slowly began transcending its humble value. Stories began to circulate at coin conventions, online forums, and YouTube channels dedicated to rare currency. A 2006 Jefferson nickel with exceptional luster and a full strike fetched thousands at a Midwestern auction. Another with a spectacular misprint, where Jefferson's eye appeared elongated, ignited a bidding war in a niche numismatic community. Then came the rumors, a whispered tale of a single 2006 Jefferson nickel graded MS-70 with an ultra-rare minting anomaly that was never intended for circulation. Was it a myth? A mint worker's error? A test piece accidentally released? No one could say for sure. But the legend took root. As legends go, they grew. The 2006 Jefferson nickel transformed from pocket change into a numismatic phenomenon. Collectors began seeking the coin with fervor, not just for its rarity but for what it represented. It was no longer just a 5-cent piece, it became a relic of artistry, historical homage, and modern ingenuity. Coin clubs across the country began hosting exhibitions dedicated solely to the Jefferson series. Kids traded their lunch money just for a chance to examine one under magnification. Retirees, long removed from the hustle of daily life, found joy and purpose in completing their westward journey nickel albums, and somewhere along the way, the myth of the face value grew, not in legal terms, but in story, in the currency of imagination and fascination. $6 million. That's what the 2006 Jefferson nickel began to symbolize. Not a literal denomination, but a symbolic one. Its value was measured not in what it could buy but in what it embodied: 6 million stories, 6 million dreams, 6 million moments of rediscovery across American households. The number stuck, repeated in blogs, collectors' journals, and coin hunting videos. 6 million. It was catchy. It was absurd. And it was unforgettable. Even more astounding was the cultural impact. Pop culture began nodding subtly to the coin. A brief shot in a 2020 streaming series showed a character flipping a Jefferson nickel with visible reverence. A best-selling historical fiction novel placed the coin at the center of a plot about time travel, suggesting it could unlock portals to America's past. The 2006 Jefferson nickel was no longer just a collector's treasure, it was an icon. Amid this fervor, the U.S. Mint itself took notice. In a rare acknowledgement, a commemorative release years later referenced the 2006 design, calling it one of the most culturally resonant coinage efforts of the modern age. Scholars began dissecting its design in numismatic journals, while economic theorists pondered the strange psychology behind the coin's perceived value surge. In quiet corners of America, attics, garage sales, forgotten jars, the 2006 Jefferson nickel waited to be discovered. And each time one emerged, it rekindled the tale. Parents handed them to children not as currency, but as artifacts. Teachers used them as tactile entry points into U.S. history. Coin dealers, once dismissive of anything so modern, now kept dedicated display cases for high-grade specimens of this remarkable year. And then came the twist, the one that truly propelled the 2006 Jefferson nickel into mythic territory. A single example, sold through private channels, reportedly changed hands for a staggering $6 million. The details were murky. Some say it was a billionaire tech entrepreneur with a fascination for Americana. Others whisper it was a royal collector from overseas. The coin, they say, had something extraordinary, perhaps an unknown die variety, perhaps a provenance tracing back to the mint's director. Whatever the truth, that transaction cemented the legend. From that moment on, the phrase, 2006 Jefferson nickel, face value, $6 million, was etched in the collective imagination of the coin world. Collectors began scouring coin rolls with renewed vigor. Coin shops could hardly keep up with requests. Online auctions listed 2006 nickels at speculative prices, often accompanied by elaborate descriptions weaving Jefferson's philosophy with modern monetary mystery. A new wave of coin hunting content surged across YouTube, TikTok, and niche blogs, where enthusiasts recounted their finds, celebrated the coin's design, and added layers of interpretation to its already rich lore. But perhaps the greatest power of the 2006 Jefferson nickel wasn't in its rarity or even its perceived value, it was in its ability to connect. Across generations, it became a bridge. A grandfather and granddaughter inspecting a coin under a lamp, debating the thickness of the rim. A high school teacher guiding students through Jefferson's legacy by passing around a few circulated nickels. A solitary collector, confined to a small apartment, finding joy in arranging his coin display, the 2006 piece at its center, gleaming. As the years rolled on, the legend only deepened. It appeared in documentaries, was the subject of speculative fiction, and even inspired a short-lived comic book series where coins had magical properties, and the 2006 Jefferson nickel was the keystone. Universities added it to their numismatics curricula, dissecting both its artistic elements and the sociology of its rise to fame.